you do your own sketches as well. That's what I saw, and you do sketches about you as a dad, which I love.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does that come? Do you just think that up as the day goes by, or is it specific themes that you want to get out there?
No, I think it's as and when. I mean, I think one of the last videos is trying to feed my daughter, and she's just putting her food on her head. And I mean, it's first of all, I mean, I've only been we got two kids, and my oldest one, my son Ben, he'll be 3 in March, and then the other my daughter's just turned 1 in October. And so, I'm fairly new to the whole dad thing, and it's one of the craziest and best things that's ever happened. And it's just, children are fascinating. They are incredible little creatures, and to understand that's where humans, human adults spawn from these tiny little creatures. It's amazing. And we've got a lot of social responsibility in South Africa with the gender-based violence and all those things, where people are looking at men and saying, okay, cool, what are you guys doing? And traditionally, men have been involved in raising and spending time in the house and that. And I don't think that's anybody's fault, but we live in a completely different time now.
Yeah.
I have a flexible schedule, so I can do the school run. I'm not opposed to doing a nappy or two every now and then. It's not my favorite. I definitely never pretended.
Nobody's favorite, that one.
But it's an opportunity, I think, to share that being a proud dad, being an involved dad is it's a very cool thing, and there's a lot of reward in it. And I think if I can share that a little bit, maybe it helps 1 or 2 dads to have conversations and say, I like being a dad, and I like being involved with my kids, and that could work really well.
And also this, I mean, I know, especially with me growing up, and I'm sure with you also growing up, our dads were not so involved in the day-to-day stuff. I'm not saying the upbringing, but the day-to-day stuff. And you really tackling the day-to-day stuff, like you're saying, like feeding your daughter or so. I think that's wonderful that you do that, and also bringing out that humor in it.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's probably one of the toughest jobs. We spent December wondering if we're going to make it out alive. Just my wife and I and the 2 kids, because I was like, this is craziness. This is madness. I'd rather work with no holiday for 4 years than be left alone with my kids for a whole month again, with nowhere to go, or not nowhere to go, but having to plan each and every day. It's really an intense job, but if you look for the humor, it is everywhere.
But okay, Themba, so you do voiceovers as well. So tell me about that side of the job. How did you get to do that?
So a lot of my stories kind of I forged my own path, where everybody was like, these are the steps you should go. I kind of just went through the bushes this way and dragged myself out backwards. So I got myself a little microphone. Actually, a friend of mine got me a little microphone a couple of years ago, probably about 7 years ago. And so I thought, hey, listen, I'll try this voiceover thing. Lots of people have said, hey, you should try and be on radio. And I tried to get on radio a million times, and it didn't work out. So I thought, let me try voiceovers. And I had no idea how to break into the South African market. I didn't know anyone. So I found a couple of online websites. And it turns out that the rest of the world's actually quite hungry for South African and African voices. So I think one of the big things, especially from the South African perspective, a lot of companies don't want to be identified as being in any particular place. And the South African accent is quite neutral in that you actually can't pinpoint, and most people will bounce it off an Australian or an English British kind of accent.
Yeah.
So people struggle to place it, and that's what the companies want. So I found that out online, and so for a couple of years I worked. I worked primarily just online, a couple of websites, and my first year I did 3 jobs, I think, and then my next year I probably did 10. And it's only actually when I started calling myself a voiceover artist, then everyone said, "Oh, well, my friend needs a voiceover, and this friend needs a voiceover." And then I got a local agent, and yeah, now I do voiceovers for some really big companies. Um, and it's a really fun and fulfilling job, because also with on-screen work you'll always be you can put on a character, but everybody always knows it's you fundamentally, whereas with voiceover you could be anybody. You could be a Hercules hero or a tiny kid. Yeah.
But you now what you that you talked about the accents so much is yes, people sometimes when I speak here in Europe, they would say, "Oh, is it Australian?" No, no, no. Oh, yeah, yeah, South African. Then they'll, "Oh, yeah, 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 South African." But you have you have a British twang also in your accent, so you don't sound so South African. So I can imagine you can get away with quite a lot.
Yeah, I think so that's my grand's doing. So she's from the UK, and as children we're always taught you don't say yeah. It's if we got called, we never said yeah. It was yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's mostly home life. This is how we spoke, kind of thing. And yeah, it's part and parcel, it's really handy. But I think if you catch me down in the Eastern Cape, with my friends down there, it's quite a different accent from time to time.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think it's a natural thing when you're amongst amongst your friends or your family that your accent changes. But
Yeah.
now, and tell me, can you see in your children? Okay, so you have a baby, but you have a youngster. Can you see something of you, of humor, of being the funny one?
Yeah, I mean, I think both kids could definitely have it.
Mm.
I think personality wise, one of them has to be like my wife, because they look quite like me. So just to give
Oh,
her
okay.
something for her hard work, so maybe one of them can have her personality.
Mm.
But my son's an interesting blend of the two of us, but
Okay.
he's going to be a little. I think he's going to be a little showman.
Okay.
He talks, and I think every parent. This is a problem. So I think every parent thinks that their kid is the smartest kid in the world, and
Mm.
it's a tough thing, because you got to rein yourself. You got to rein yourself every now and then. But he talks just about fluently, and his ideas and his expressions are incredible. So I think he's definitely going to be a storyteller of some kind. Or at least that's a strong point. Is
Mm.
he understands inflection, and he pulls information from the strangest of places, and his retention is quite good. So I think he'll be a little storyteller. My daughter's a heck of a character, but she's more stern. She doesn't smile
Oh,
for
okay.
for anyone. So we'll
Okay.
see. Maybe
Maybe that
maybe
will
we,
be
we won't
a
push her out front and center for the family entertainment, yeah, jobs.
yeah. Well, wait till they're teenagers, then the true colors will shine.
And I'm petrified for that, eh? Oh, it's